we've all been covering it for nearly 2 decades. But something important happened before the game. As you know, the collective bargaining agreement is under discussion right now between the league and their players. And before the game, the players came out without their warm-ups on with shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us." There is a feeling among the players, as they expressed in their meeting on Thursday, that they want to have a piece of the revenue. It has been record-sharing revenue for the WNBA, and they have not been sharing that with the players.
So essentially what you see happening here with the WNBA, with these pay us what you owe us shirts that you see in solidarity, is basically WNBA players with their new bargaining agreement that they're trying to land, is basically telling the NBA, because those are the people that actually subsidize the WNBA, right? They're an offshoot of the men's league. They're basically telling the leagues that they want more money. They want a larger piece of the revenue that is generated. Now, I'm not sure if WNBA players are as business savvy. I'm sure that some of them are, and some of them may not be, because, a lot of athletes are basically Neanderthals, and I'm going based off of what I see from a lot of the guys, but also a lot of the women. They are basically trying to take a larger piece of the revenue, not the profit. Okay. So if you just go and do a little bit of research, it'll actually show you that last year in particular, the WNBA was estimated to lose around $40 million across the board. One of its largest losses ever. And on a regular basis, the WNBA has been losing annually, on average, roughly about $10 million a year. Now, you can deep dive into this. It has multiple different sources. But it says in the NBA, which owns the WNBA, that's why I said that they're asking it from the NBA, has historically covered league losses, which are estimated to be around $10 million a year. The NBA directly subsidizes the WNBA due to its ownership, and its losses are estimated to be around $40 million annually. Now, how are they able to do this? Because the NBA, the men, the interest in the NBA is so large and it's so great that they are able to land lucrative deals, lucrative contracts, lucrative streaming agreements with multiple different providers. There's a bidding war for NBA rights to stream, as well as jersey sales. And then obviously you have filled arenas and the playoffs be booming and so on and so forth. And so they're able to basically take this loss because they're hoping one day, after 27 years in business, that one day that this money-losing operation will transition into being a profitable venture. However, they are not profitable as of now. And see, one of the things that we don't give a lot of the veterans credit for in the WNBA, we don't give them a lot of them credit because, we talk about how skilled they may have not been, whether or not they will be able to exist in this league. But there was a lot of sacrifices before these guys were getting these monster contracts today. And I'm not even sure if the younger guys that are coming into the NBA are as appreciative of the older OGs that actually generated all of the revenue that allowed for them to be able to live the lives and then ultimately make as much money as they make now. But WNBA players are protesting, right? They don't want to make the sacrifice. They don't want to do the same thing as the men do, but they want to make as much money. They don't play to as big as crowds. They don't generate as much revenue. They basically have the men that continue to advocate and champion them and also try to promote them so that they'll make more money. I know that there's an expansion coming in, I believe, 3 different places: Detroit, Cleveland. Detroit used to have a team, but then they got rid of it because obviously even with 3 championships, they were still unprofitable. They were called the Detroit Shock. But in the near future, they should be coming into the league. But essentially what you see women doing is they're saying, and I'm not mad at them, right? Let's be clear. With me stating the facts of what the projected revenue is versus what you then take in, because the difference between revenue and profit is that you can take in a certain amount of money, but the costs, expenses, all of that stuff in order to make sure that you operate the league, it exceeds what you take in revenue. And so what the players are basically doing is saying, we want a larger slice of the revenue. We don't necessarily want to do profit sharing because the league itself has never been profitable, right? Here's, one of the biggest stars, one of the bigger stars, Nafisa Collier. Nafisa Collier And she broke a record by scoring 36 points in the All-Star game, which I wasn't familiar that it was an All-Star game going on with the WNBA. But this is her in a press conference speaking on exactly what they're demanding and why the players came out with this "pay us what you owe us" shirts.
Hi, Fia. Obviously, you made a statement with your play, but you guys made a statement about the pay today, and it said, "Pay us what you owe us" on the shirts. It's going to get a lot of attention. If you could just say in the simplest form to those who are just getting aware of this now, what do you mean by what you owe us?
The players of what is building this brand in this league. There is no league without the players. And, the past, present, the ones coming up, they're the ones that have put in the blood, sweat, and tears for the new money that's coming in. And so we feel like we are owed a piece of that pie that we helped to create. So that's basically what that is.
Nafisa, next question to your right in the front row.
Nafisa, Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. Speaking about the statement that you all collectively made and having the fan support, what do you want the other fans that may not fully understand what you're fighting for? What is the message that you want to convey over for the rest of the season? And are those shirts that you guys will be wearing, for the remainder of the season as well?
I guess I would want people to understand that basically we get a very tiny percentage of all the money that's made through the WNBA, which obviously is through our entertainment, the entertainment we provide. And so we want a fair and reasonable percentage of that.
Next two questions.
Again, while I'm no hater, get whatever it is money that you can get from whatever it is that you can get it, whether it's corporate America or, you playing in the WNBA, do your thing. But what I would ask, and what I'm asking you guys in this conversation is, what do you think that they are owed? How much money do you think that these players should be paid based off of the fact that the league is unprofitable? What do you owe somebody where it's unprofitable? I like to often at times compare it to, in a smaller sense, right? Because we have to be able to break it down so that we'll all actually understand exactly what we're talking about. I like to break it down to content creation, right? I am a content creator. I have several different other creators that are under my tutelage or under my different platforms that I stream with. We are building a huge platform, but that platform is largely being built off of the visibility that I've also already created for myself. So I have a brand, and then I'm also lending my brand over into these other brands that we're building, while at the same time, those brands, I'm managing it effectively so that it's ultimately profitable, right? But then at the same time, the question that we have to ask ourselves, if you're building it out of the mud and the brand itself is not profitable, not saying it's not profitable because it is, but just for the sake of conversation, if the brand itself is not profitable yet, what should the people that stream with you, what should they be paid? Should they be an equity partner, or should they share in the profits, or should they just get a flat rate? Because on one end, you can say, well, okay, well, they should just get a flat rate. Cool. That means they get paid whether we're profitable or not. They're an employee. Or you can say you can have equity in the company and you can share in the profits. And that means that you're more incentivized to build it, and you may not make no money, or you may take a huge pay cut of what you would have made, but then you're banking on the potential for the platform to be incredibly profitable later, which would ultimately make you much, much wealthier in the long term, right? It's the same thing in corporate America. If you pay attention to what happens in corporate America, if a person goes to a startup, right, or they're in a company that is, getting itself together, or it's not yet profitable yet, or it hasn't IPO'd and went, initial public offering, then they usually take less money up front for equity into the company. But it's a possibility that that company will never become profitable, or never be sold, or it won't IPO, and everybody is not going to just become a millionaire as a result of it. But it's give and take. But again, the one thing that we do know is that they are not yet profitable yet. And so with that being said, how much does the players actually deserve when they say pay us what you owe? Let me know inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.